What is going on, guys? Brad here from MTG Jank City, coming at you with another deck tech. Today we're going to be talking about a Rakdos commander that is very rarely ever played. Even on EDH Rec there is under 100 decks made from him. Today we're going to be talking about Kazarov, Sengir Pureblood. Kazarov is a 4/4 flyer, legendary creature vampire for 5 and 2 black, so 7 total mana, and whenever a creature an opponent controls is dealt damage, put a +1/+1 counter on Kazarov, Sengir Pureblood, and for 3 and a red, Kazarov deals 2 damage to any target creature. So we are going to be playing a Voltron style deck that revolves around dealing small increments of damage to our opponent's creatures and putting +1/+1 counters on Kazarov, eventually dealing enough commander damage to swing in for the win, taking out our opponents one by one. We are first off going to talk about some cards that are all going to deal 1 damage to target creature we don't control. Both Blazing Volley and Electricity are both 1 mana cards that are each going to do that ability. Electricity could be overloaded for 1 and a red to deal 1 damage to each creature we don't control, only increasing the power and toughness of Kazarov by putting +1/+1 counters on it, and Blazing Volley is going to do that same thing but for only 1 red mana. We are also going to be playing Barrage of Boulders, a spell for 2 and a red that says it deals 1 damage to each creature you don't control, and it does have that ferocious ability where it says if we control a creature with power 4 or greater, which most of the time will be Kazarov, creatures can't block this turn. This gives Kazarov a little bit more evasion in case they do have flyers or in case we cannot kill those flyers. It basically says that Kazarov is going to be getting in for free each and every single time we cast Barrage of Boulders. Next up, we have some cards that are going to deal damage to each creature and each player. Most of the time, our creatures aren't going to be that much very affected because a lot of the times we are just going to be having Kazarov on the battlefield, and most of the time he's going to be over a 10/10, so dealing 1 damage 1 by 1 isn't really going to be that big of an impact for him. Both Plague Spitter and Festering Evil are both cards that are going to be triggering at the beginning of our upkeep. Plague Spitter is a 2/2 creature for 2 and a black that says at the beginning of your upkeep, it deals 1 damage to each creature and each player, and when Plague Spitter is put into the graveyard from play, Plague Spitter is going to be dealing 1 damage to each creature and player. Festering Evil is an enchantment for 3 black. During your upkeep, Festering Evil deals 1 damage to each creature and each player, and we can pay 2 black to sacrifice it and have it deal 3 damage to each creature and each player. Next up, we have some cards that say we can put mana into it to deal 1 damage to each creature and each player. Pestilence and Pyrrhemia are both 4-drop enchantments that say this. We can put 1 mana of their respected color to deal 1 damage to each creature and each player, and at the end of turn, if there are no creatures in play, we have to sacrifice these enchantments. Pestilence Demon is pretty much Pestilence on a creature, as well as Thrashing Wumpus, which each say we can pay black to deal 1 damage to each creature and each player. And then we have Noxious Field, where we can enchant a land that we control to make that land deal 1 damage to each creature and each player. Next up, we have some helpful equipment in the deck. Both Swiftfoot Boots and Mask of Absent are both going to give Kazarov Hexproof to protect him from single target removal. Swiftfoot Boots is also going to give him haste. Mask of Absent is also going to give him +1/+2. Then we were playing a card called Dousing Dagger, an equipment for 2 that says when it enters the battlefield, target opponent creates 2/0/2 green plant creature tokens with Defender. This card is only going to help us give our opponent's creatures that we can deal damage to and put more +1/+1 counters on Kazarov. We are also playing a copy of Whispersilk Cloak, an equipment for 3 mana that says equipped creature is unblockable and can't be the target of spells or abilities. But making sure Kazarov is unblockable and gets in for that damage is the most important part of this card. We are also playing Loxodon Warhammer, which says equipped creature gets +3/+0 and has trample and lifelink. Sometimes our opponents are going to have flyers or even creatures with reach that are going to be able to block Kazarov, and having trample on there is really going to help us get that damage through. And lifelink really does come in handy since a lot of our cards are going to be dealing damage to not only our opponents creatures, but also ourselves. Next up, we have some cards that are pretty much going to help us win the game. Relentless Assault is a card for 2 red that says untap all creatures that attack this turn. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase followed by an additional main phase. Having multiple combats on a single turn is something that Kazarov really does enjoy. Most of the time when we are attacking with Kazarov, he's going to be doing enough damage to do enough commander damage to knock a single player out, and knocking out 2 players in a single turn really is pretty satisfying. Chandra's Ignition is a card for 3 red that says target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each other creature and each opponent. A lot of the time our opponent's life total is going to be pretty low based off all the other damage that we are doing, and Chandra's Ignition is going to be dealing enough damage to wipe out all 3 people all at once. Both Thud and Fling do the similar effect at the cost of sacrificing a creature, most of the time being Kazarov. Both of these cards are going to deal damage to target creature or player or any other target equal to the power of the sacrificed creature. When Kazarov is being sacrificed this way, a lot of the time you're going to be dealing up to 20 damage for 1 or 2 red mana, which at the end of the day is really good value. Then we have some cards that are going to be giving Kazarov Infect. Tainted Strike and Glistening Oil are both going to give that ability. Tainted Strike for 1 black mana is an instant that says target creature gets +1/+0 and gains Infect until end of turn. A lot of the times we're going to be playing this as a surprise, and a lot of the time players aren't even going to be knowing that they're going to be getting knocked out before it even happens. Glistening Oil is an enchantment for black and a black that says enchanted creature has Infect, and at the beginning of your upkeep put a -1/-1 counter on enchanted creature. Most of the time this is pretty much going to be balancing itself out. With all the other +1/+1 counters we're going to be putting on Kazarov, those 1/-1/-1 counters aren't even going to matter. And that's all I have for you guys today with Kazarov, Sengir Pureblood. It really is a fun new way to play Voltron in Commander, a way that most people don't tend to play since most Voltron decks involve white and more equipment, but Kazarov likes to see the world burn before him, making him stronger in the process. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to give it a like and hit subscribe for more deck tech videos, and even hit the bell icon for updates on whenever I do post a new video. My name is Brad from MTG Jankster, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.